like I said, we are excited that we got to reopen yesterday. So again, reduced hours, and all three of us are in the design center together in different areas. So I'm really excited to see the floor plans, because this property looks beautiful, and I'm excited for the sneak peek. So I will hand it back to you guys.
Perfect. I'm going to put up our slides, and I want to start with an introduction on this amazing property. So talk about some of the history and give you an idea of what we're launching here at 2700 North Lakeview, which we call Adler on the Park. That's at the corner of Wrightwood and Lakeview. It's a historic restoration. It's about 15,000 square feet that's being converted into 2 luxury residences, the first and second floor, and then the third and fourth floor, of course, with elevator access to all floors. Going into some of the history here, you can see the historic photo here, and then our rendering.
Fabulous.
Yes, so it was built from 1915 to 1917. It took a little while.
Wow.
They called it the Lakeview Row House District, which was a new thing at that time because everyone wanted to be in the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast was always the Gold Coast, and that was the place to be. So this was kind of a stretch to bring this area to life a little bit here. But they tried to basically make it look kind of like a London townhomes. But on the front side here, this was the biggest home, which belonged to Emily Ryerson of Ryerson Steel, as Chicago folks would definitely probably know that name. So the history of Emily Ryerson I'll go into in a bit here, but then on the side here, there was 4 more townhomes built. It was meant to be 2 more. There were supposed to be 6, I believe, but they ended up with 4 based on some people getting sick or ill and project not as planned. So Emily Ryerson has quite a story that brought her to Chicago that some of us might have, I guess, heard about because it involves something called the Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
So Emily and her husband, Arthur Ryerson, were living in Philadelphia and had gone to travel on vacation to France. And during their trip to France, their eldest son was in a car crash and was killed. So they raced from France, but at that time there wasn't very quick options. So the Titanic was their best option. We know how the Titanic story went. Well, her husband, Arthur Ryerson, was not found. Women and children were first put on the lifeboats, and her children made it, but unfortunately her husband was not found. So at that time, she'd now lost her son and her husband and had moved to Chicago to restart her life. And that brought her here to start building Adler on the Park, which was with some of her colleagues, and which were, I guess, artisans at the time, designers, architects, things like that were involved in her world. She was building their townhomes next to her, so she had her own little community to help restart her life. And one of those people was, I'll move on here, one of those people was Henry Dangler, and he introduced her to David Adler. They're 2 architects that were involved with her project. And obviously, David Adler is well known here in Chicago. We have the Adler Planetarium, and Dangler died pretty young, so I think his name has not hung on quite the same way as David Adler, who's designed many homes throughout the suburbs and now other cities as well. But I guess that's kind of the background. She became kind of the social leader in the area and continued her life until around well, first I'll back up, sorry. In 1917, she built on an addition to the home. And interestingly enough, she built herself another bedroom in the new part of the home so that she could allow, during World War I, Children's Memorial to take over her home. So this became a convalescent home for the sick children during World War II, and she lived in the little side house. And then in 1927 is when she remarried and sold the home and moved back to actually she moved to New York at that time. And eventually the home became the Harris Schools, which was there a long time. I know people that went to the Harris School, they've come to see it. So they definitely remember it. It still lays out the same. That was in 1946. Harris School was, again, a Gold Coast thing that made the move over to Lakeview and continued the growth there. And then eventually in 1972, it was sold to Thresholds, which became a recovery center. And it was bought from Thresholds. And that's where we're at today. So I've got a few photos here to bring us into the history. This is the original living room.
Wow.
When it became the hospital. And then here's our rendering of the same living room getting restored. If anyone knows how to get us the painting that has to go above the fireplace, let us know. And here's just another beautiful pic of the foyer, just to give you an idea of beautiful, beautiful home that's getting restored. And that brings us up to the third level that we're talking about today. This is the amazing outdoor terrace that this unit gets. This unit is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. It's on 2 floors with the terrace, and it will list around $5 million. We're going to talk about that unit today with your designs, but I'll just quickly touch base about the first floor unit, which is going to list around $7 million, and that's a 5-bed, 4-bath, 2-half-bath unit. So they're luxury residences, super excited. The first floor unit has the historic restorations that the top floor unit had already had ripped out, unfortunately, through the years. It was more dormitories up there. So this one's kind of an open palette, and I'll bring on our designers to take it over from here.
Can we start?
Yep, it's you, Joseph.
Hi guys, it's Joseph. So first of all, I want to thank Jason for making these beautiful floor plans, and then I went ahead and did the rendering for, this is the kitchen with the family room. And then because you'll see in some of the slides, it showed the beautiful architecture of the home. I didn't want to take away from that, so I kept it very, this was very untypical of me because I normally don't do very neutral colors. I love very traditional things, but I took this floor plan and designed it for a family. You can see the beautiful sectional, it's leather with the ECOT rug. There's blues, beiges, browns with striped 2 ottomans in there. And then with the beautiful artwork, I did a very modern light over the peninsula in the kitchen. And of course I had to do a little bit of damask on the bar stools, but it's very neutral. Everything in there is more or less a look of reclaimed woods on the side table to the right of the sectional. And then the chair that's by that table is more of a spindle type of chair, very reminiscent of that decade probably. And then the console that's below the TV is a buffet that you probably have seen in other renderings I've done. But I just wanted to use things that looked more appropriate for the room. I didn't want to make it French. I didn't want to make it like the architecture. I wanted to just be a little bit more modern, but very eclectic with things that maybe somebody, the client has had, and that would fit into the room. So again, it's
Wendy, there's images. Joseph, you can never flip through as you're talking about the different pieces. We can see it. There you go.
Okay, so this is a leather sectional with a beautiful hot rug, 2 40-inch ottomans in a striped fabric, and then the wood chair more spindle with the The lamps behind the sectional are a leather-bound lighting, and then the fabrics, of course, are all neutrals, more texture and a little bit of print. I didn't go wild on the prints because, again, I wanted the architecture to speak for itself. In this, you cannot really see the architecture until we go into the other slides, but I wanted to keep it neutral, more peaceful, and celebrate the architecture of the home. And again, there's the kitchen with the family room, just very warm, earthy tones, which was great for me because normally I like lots of color and lots of print, and that's it. And then again, the console that's below the TV, I would hopefully think that in this they would have a beautiful screen TV, in there, but again, very neutral. I did do a parquet floor, and I think it's a chevron, chevron. And when Wendy shows the other slide, you'll see that chevron is throughout the whole home.
Yeah.
So a lot of wood, a lot of fabrics, some leather. And again, I don't use a lot of leather, but I decided in here I wanted to use leather because it was, whoever moves in, children, it's very easy to clean. And again, I used the damask on the 3 counter stools in the kitchen and a modern light fixture.
Okay, so this is my interpretation of the room. I felt like because the space was in a $5 million listing, that drama and high style would be to the liking of the client. So I picked things that kind of speak to my personal design aesthetic in terms of balance, symmetry, repetition of color, and harmony between the pieces. So here we see I picked 2 sofas facing each other. They're long enough that you can get 3 to 4 people to sit on each, or someone could stretch out on them. I also gave the potential homeowner kind of a little accent table there. You can see to kind of move around to whichever end they're sitting on, a bench for additional seating, and then a leather ottoman in the middle of the room where, the kids could sit around that and play board games. You could pull it over to one of the sofas, put your feet up on it. If you're having a party, you can use it for additional seating. And then you see where I kept everything kind of balanced. You have the 2 chests on either side of the sofa with 2 lamps, 2 lamps on the other console table behind the sofa, and then the 2 chairs at the opposite end of the room.
So interesting you say the balance, because David Adler was all about his balance. So the doors all had to be across from each other. Things always were matching.
I did not know that, but I just think that even when I looked at this space in plan, that's what kind of kept coming to me. It's like, okay, I gotta balance this out and kind of have everything symmetrical.
You channeled his energy in your design.
I did. He spoke to me. So, here's just from a different angle. I feel like those cabinets would be very functional in the room. You could put, board games in there. Even you had like a throw or additional pillows you wanted to store there and pull them out for movie night, you could do that as well. And at that in the room, I put 2 big comfortable chairs in leather, kind of like mom and dad's chair, ottoman, and then a little accent table in between for somewhere to put something down, a floor lamp for lighting. And then you can see over the island, I repeated the purple pendants, and again brought in more of the gray leather on the bar stools. Just kind of keeping everything very elegant, but very functional, very balanced.
Some feedback over there.
Yep, somebody's too close to me.
I'll move away.
Perfect.
Hi, Jason. This is Lori.
Uh-huh.
I really like the floor plan. The $5 million, of course, is totally out of my ballpark, but I like the functionality of things and how you've designed that.
I appreciate that. I mean, and again, even we could scale this down to a smaller space, maybe only do one sofa, take out one of the ottomans, and this same look could translate into a much smaller room and still have the same elegance and drama.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Thank you.
Any other comments before we move on to our dining area?
I like them both. They're fabulous.
So this is, I believe when you walk into the front, you go down past a staircase into the dining room. And again, I didn't want to take away from the architecture. I brought in the 2 outdoor chairs that are flanked on each side in a rattan, very neutral colors, a damask rug, a reclaimed wood top table in round with a lot of woods and just a lot of neutral, natural elements in the room. I didn't use any thing like silvers or brass. Again, my signature blue and white ginger jars, which I have to put in every design I do. I don't care who it is, it has to have a ginger jar. And again, this table actually with the beautiful Chippendale side chairs, again, could be reminiscent of that time in the, you know, like in the England with the Crescent building that kind of is reminiscent of this architecture of Adler. So just very neutrals with woods and some metals, very few. Again, just with the reclaimed wood chandelier with a little bit of copper on there. But I also used, Jason was telling me that there is a patio or an outside balcony out there. So these chairs could be taken inside or outside and used with the furniture, you know, indoors or outdoors. So again, the wood pods on each side of the chair with the rug would make it a little bit more formal. But again, I don't know if we have the slides, but we do show the interior of the home with a lot of architectural details. And again, I didn't want to take away from any of that. And just different views of the dining room itself.
Are those built-ins?
Yes, there are built-ins on each side. I don't know if we have the picture of the home itself, but it shows the dining room with built-ins on both sides of it.
Yes, there's built-ins with marble countertops.
Yes.
Okay.
And Jason did put marble on top of them, so it reflects the marble on each side. The details are unbelievable.
Are they white, Wendy?
No,
They're in the house? The pattern
Sure.
of the buildings?
They're not in yet, I don't think, so.
Oh, that's why I can't recall. It's like,
but in the rendering that Wendy sent us, it does look like they are floating, or they're part of the structure of the built-ins there.
They
So,
are floating, you're correct.
yeah.
They're very contemporary, plain, kind of a, what would that be called? Opposite of flat, like the white
More-
is shiny.
White lacquer, it looked like from the picture.
Right.
really? Well, I thought they were putting antique glass in the wall.
On the wall, maybe, I have no idea.
Where those mirrors are, both those 2 walls, I thought it was discussed like
Might
antique.
have been discussed, but I also, then you can't hang any artwork.
I recall that.
When you see Jason's slide, you'll see that he's done something similar to that. So wait, surprise, surprise.
Okay.
Joseph, you're giving away mine. Talk about yours.
Yours is beautiful. I love it. So again, it's just the rattan that you can bring indoors or outdoors with Sunbrella fabrics, indoor or outdoor. And then, you know, just very natural pieces of accents and furnishings in there with coppers and, you know, nothing flamboyant or nothing, you know, that says more modern. So I wanted, again, the architecture speaks for itself in the renderings.
Yeah, I didn't put in the rendering. I should, I mean, the photos that included some of those. And now we're moving on to the pizzazz here, huh?
Yep. So again, I felt like going a little more dramatic, and again, working off of that balance in the room because of the 2 floating consoles built in. This room is relatively long and narrow, so of course the first natural instinct would be to put a long rectangular table in there, and I went against that and decided to do 2 round tables with an additional chair that you could pull up so that you could still have seating for 10 in the dining room. But I think, again, at this price point of home, the owner would be looking for something a little different and not what would be expected.
You put the kids at one table and the adults at the other table.
We could do that.
Interesting that you both did round in the long, like the room's 20 feet by 10 foot, I think is what it was.
Yeah, that's what you did. I mean, again, I think it's just because both of us wanted to fight the instinct on, obviously it's a rectangle room, put a rectangular table in there.
Right.
To showcase something a little different, I think we both went with round to kind of break that mold.
And Wendy, I don't like rectangular tables, sorry.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause you
I
can't
love
put
I
every-
love round when there's room for it. I love round. Yeah. It's great.
I like round. I have a round behind me.
I don't have room for it, so, but I love it when you do.
It's much more
So-
conversational, I agree.
Mhm.
If you look at the ends of the room, kind of following the direction that Wendy gave us, I thought there was marble on the walls. So I went up the walls with marble, and then on one side, I did install a piece of art, and on the other side, I did this, which is kind of an art installation of mirrors, just to kind of reflect some of the light around in that space. And when you're sitting at one of the tables, the mirrors, if you're sitting in the right position, the mirror will reflect the art on the other wall. Again, just kind of going with that high glamour, sophisticated dining, formal dining space.
I love the window treatments in here as well, Jason.
Well, thank you. And
I really
felt
like this one
they
too.
could add something to the room, the height of the windows, and draw your attention to the door and, you know, the view outside the door.
I agree. And it still keeps it open. You're not covering it completely.
Right.
Even though you have the two round tables, mentally I see one long table in there, and I love it that way.
I love the marble on the wall. Then you can still do artwork.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
And I think the two tables being across from each other does kind of fool your mind into still seeing that rectangular image because the room is so rectilinear. But it gives you, I think when you walk through this space, it would give you a sense of a bigger feeling room because you can go through the middle, around the sides, and circulate through the room. Whereas if you had a big rectangle table in the middle of the room, all you could do was go around the perimeter of the room.
And you're social distancing.
That
Right on.
That's what it was for. It was a social distance dining room.
Yes.
That's
You
absolutely,
have another family over for dinner.
Yeah.
and you can
Yeah,
have a
one
waiter.
gets one buffet side and the other
Yeah.
gets the other buffet side.
And if they can't afford their mortgage, they can always hire it and make it a restaurant. There you go.
You go.
private dining space, yeah.
And Joseph, how many would fit at your round table you had? Because you had the one.
You can fit on that table, it's a 60, you could fit up to probably 6. It's a big table. It's funny because when Jason and I both got this design, we both had put the same table in, and I decided to not do that table because I liked his design. But those are both, I don't know, Jason, did you do 48?
These I did 48.
Yeah.
The 260s just, I wanted to do the 260s so that I could really get like 12 people in there, but it just put them a little too close. That's why I have the 2 additional chairs on the side so that you could pull up the additional chair. I envision if you think about how the chairs now are on the, if you look at the clock, like on the 12, 6, 3, and 9, if you offset the chairs, then you could bring in one of the leather chairs at the end of the table on this side and end of the table at this side, and still kind of have that feeling of side chairs and head chair, but have seating for 10.
Wendy, and I think also why I didn't do rectangular tables because the width of that room, I mean, it'd be hard to for the chairs to go in and out, especially by the door. So this, like Jason's saying, if you do the 3, 6, 9, and 12, it's easier to maneuver the round tables in that room.
Yeah, the room looks so long when you're there in person. Looks like you could fit a table for like 20 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess if you fill it up with other things, it won't feel that way.
Well, the other thing too is that you look at the wall space, but when you take out for those steps that come in, you might as well, erase that as space on the wall because you can't use that floor space right there where those stairs are.
Right.
Yes, but to note, in that floor space area, there's going to be a built-in buffet area, so it'll be part of the room, but not, which will be interesting.
Okay, that'll be good too. You mean like under the windows?
No, I mean in the stairwell area.
Yeah.
Oh, we were wondering about
On the other
that.
side of the room.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be nice.
In the staircase. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be real nice.
So bring it
Now,
up.
it sounds like this home will have plenty of storage.
It does, plus elevator to the basement.
Great.
So, perfect. I'll just flip through these
I like that. I like the mirrors.
That's
Mhm.
beautiful.
designs. I love that Joseph really changed his from his usual today.
Well, I
They
wanted to
made
go very traditional, but I wanted to just do something and it got me out of my comfort zone because I love traditional. I love everything French. I love anything English, but that's what, it shows you that we can do everything and anything in these rooms, which is nice.
Wendy, they had me guess whose room was whose,
Yeah.
but the ginger jars gave it away for Joseph's. I could still guess.
And Jason does a lot of the color.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think it's interesting that they, what they did with the same room, really the architecture, I think, drove both of their inspiration. And then really they create, when we don't have a specific client, they create like a client in their head and their brain and design for that person. So Joseph went a little traditional, but more like had the great French accent and did a little more contemporary to match the architecture. And Jason took, sometimes he does lots and lots of color and then kind of toned the color down a little bit and really let the architecture shine because it's so beautiful. But it's fun to see two different options of the same room.
Well, the nice thing about this is our collaboration with Jason and I is that he knows I love tradition and he likes more the color and stuff. So it's great because we can work together and make something very cohesive for the client. It's just not about him or me. It's about what the client wants. And it's great to play off one another because I can get stale, we can all get stale, and it's nice to have someone else's opinion on the design. I always want, an opinion and what do you think? And, and Jason does the same thing. So we have a great partnership with one another.
I appreciate it. There's obviously many other beautiful rooms in this luxury residence at Adler. There's a conservatory that's amazing with the custom stone fireplace that's going in that leads out to the terrace, which is just gorgeous for that unit. And then you've got 3 bedrooms upstairs. There's also a large living room area on this unit that can be a study or a guest room or a living room. I think there's a lot of sitting space. So the feedback was we don't need a formal living room. So that's kind of an open space for someone to choose what they want to use it for. And I'm excited to see this one. This one's further along, this unit, so we should hopefully get it listed in the next couple months. And obviously your guys' collaboration will be great. We can put together, if you want to do more rooms and make a lookbook.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's so many things we can do together, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, it'd be
Sounds
great.
good. I look forward to it as well.
Thank you.
Yes. Any questions or feedback, comments, questions about Adler, about real estate, about anything before we wrap
Can you
up?
send us more can you send us some other rooms or some other condos in there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I've actually been in that entryway where the black and white was at one time.
Yeah.
I had a client a hair client that lived there, and it was like going back in time. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, you're welcome to, I'm happy to walk through as well.
I think you should take us in there.
I offered, didn't I, Michelle?
She did.
I didn't get that. They didn't get that memo.
I
Yeah,
sent you guys.
thank
I
you,
sent you guys.
Jason.
Okay, fine.
Mhm.
I was gonna take it for
Yeah.
myself. No, I'm just
Let's
kidding.
throw her under the bus.
Right.
Well, I know you guys had the store opening, but we can definitely get that scheduled and then we can show off some more.
Well, we're here